Good day, everyone. I am Mary Rose Caldeo, together with John Eduard Caldeo, and welcome to our English 120 Stylistics and Discourse Analysis class. Today, we will discuss the Module 4, Unit 4 entitled Deictic Expressions. Our main objectives are: first, to define deictic expression; second, to explain the types of deixis; and third, to analyze the importance of deictic circle. What is deictic expression? A deictic expression or deixis is a word or phrase that points to the time, place, or situation in which a speaker is speaking. Deixis is expressed in English by way of personal pronouns, demonstratives, adverbs, and tense. Its term comes from the Greek meaning pointing or show, and it's pronounced as deictic. The noun deixis is pronounced as deixis or deixis, and has its origins from the Greek word deiknonai, which means to show or to point. Every language needs deixis. However, there are differences because there are not universal deictic expressions. Deixis describes the function or use of deictic words, forms, or expressions in the linguistics. Deixis is the process of pointing through language, and its denotation changes from one discourse to another. Furthermore, it is usually needed to use gestures with deictic words like this one here or that one there. However, deictic words can also have the same pointing function without using gestures, which is called the canonical situation of uterance. There are the three main types of deixis, namely the person deixis, the place deixis, and the time deixis. The first one is the person deixis. It pertains to any expression used to point to a person, such as me, you, him, or her. Person deixis refers to the person who the speakers intended to refer to. That means that person deixis is realized with personal pronouns. In a person deixis, the participants need to be encoded, which means that you have to find out who the speaker and who the addressee is. For example, a speech event includes at least two persons. So the first person is the speaker, and the second person is the addressee. If the two persons do not only refer to themselves while talking, there is a third person that does not have to take part in the conversation. The uterance is directed from the first person to the listener. The second person, and the person the speaker is talking about, is the third person. Usually, the third person is not grammatically marked because the only two persons of importance are the first person and the second person. Next, place deixis. The other term for place deixis is spatial deixis. It is words used to point to a location. For example, here and there, come and go. There is a gestural use for spatial deixis as well as a non-gestural use. So the gestural use can be shown through an eye glaze or a head movement. For example, I dislike the color of the picture there. So you point to the picture. And the another one, the non-gestural use, it refers to an area. As an example, we'll be saying, "I love it here," while walking through the park. The third one, time deixis. It pertains to a reference to time relative to temporal reference point. It concerns the encoding of temporal points and spans relative to the time at which an utterance was spoken or a written message inscribed. So in simpler words, we can say that the expression which is used to point out time. Time deixis is expressed in time adverbs such as this Monday, last week, last month, next year, now, then, ago, later, soon, before, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Usually, the reference point for time deixis is moment of utterance, which is decoding time. There is a distinction between coding time and receiving time in the written or recorded use of language. Time deixis makes ultimate reference to participant role, so it is important to distinguish the coding time from the receiving time. The coding time is the time of utterance, and the receiving time is the time of recovery of information by the hearer. So the coding time pertains to the moment of utterance, while the receiving time pertains to the moment of reception. Let's proceed to deictic center. So deictic center pertains to the time of the utterance time, the place of the utterance place, and the person just giving the utterance. For example, I'll put this here. In English, the near speaker or proximal terms are this, here, and now. And the away from speaker or distal terms are that, there, and then. The proximal terms are typically interpreted in terms of the speaker's location or the deictic center, so that now is generally understood as referring to some point or period in time that has the time of the speaker's utterances at its center. So distal terms can simply indicate away from the speaker. But in some languages, it can be used to distinguish between the near addressee and away from both speaker and addressee. As you can see in the illustration, the person deixis, the central anchorage point is the person who is speaking for. The time deixis is the time at which the speaker produces the utterance. And the place deixis is the place where the speaker produces the utterance, I, here, and now. The most important aspect of time deixis is tense. It encodes a mix between deictic time distinctions and aspectual distinctions, which are hard to separate. The proximal tense is close to the current situation, which means that it is in the present tense, and the distal form is distant from the current situation and therefore in a past tense. As an example, now is a proximal term as it indicates the time at which the speaker is producing the utterance. Then is the distal expression which applies to both past and future time relative to the time of speaking. So the tense system is important for the time deixis because every sentence refers to a certain time of an event. The time of utterance is often needed in order to find out the event time. There are also two deixis types that Levinson has suggested. However, they are not as common as the main deixis types. They are named discourse deixis and social deixis. So the first one, social deixis, is defined in terms of the speaker's social status to which that of the addressee is relative. For example, Your Highness, Mr. President, Your Majesty, and Professor de la Cruz. So the next one, discourse deixis. So it pertains to any expression used to refer to earlier or forthcoming segments of the discourse in the previous or in the next paragraph. Discourse deixis is defined in terms of the text section in which the utterance containing the deictic element occurs. For example, when reading an essay, you may come across a sentence like, "At this point, I would like to discuss X, Z, and Y." The phrase "at this point" is an example of discourse deixis. The notion of this point can be only obtained by knowing where the point is.
Deictic circle, converting direct into indirect speech. Deictic expressions usually change when you turn a direct speech into an indirect speech. That process is called shifting or backshifting. Thus, first and second person shifts to third person. Place deixis shifts from here to there, and this or this to that or those. Time deixis shifts from today to that day, tomorrow to the following day, yesterday to the day before, and etc. Harman 2004, 231F. Moreover, verbs in indirect speech are backshifted one tense. Here are some examples of how deictic expressions change when direct speech is converted into indirect speech. 1. Susan: I ate a pack of strawberries yesterday. Susan said that she had eaten a pack of strawberries the day before. 2. Janice: I'll meet you here again tomorrow at 3:30. Janice said that she would meet me there again the next day at 3:30. 3. Mary: I am here now. Mary said that she was there then. 4. Luke: I am going to buy a present there. Luke said that he would buy a present at that place. 5. Joe: I will join you this evening. Joe said that he would join them that evening. In sentence 1, the tense shifts from simple past to past perfect, and yesterday shifts to the day before in the indirect speech. In sentence 2, the tense shifts from will future to would. Another option would be he was going to buy. Moreover, here shifts to there, and tomorrow shifts to the next day in the indirect speech. In sentence 3, the tense shifts from simple present to simple past. Here shifts to there and now converts into then in the indirect speech. In sentence 4, the tense shifts from going to future to would, and there shifts to at that place in the indirect speech. In sentence 5, the tense shifts from will future to would. Another option would be he was going to join. Moreover, the personal pronoun you converts to them, and this evening shifts to that evening in the indirect speech. The deictic circle shows the relationship between the deictic system and can be used for shifting from direct speech into indirect speech. The heart of situation of utterance is the egocentricity of the speaker. Therefore, the 0 point is I am here now, and that is the point from where deictic coordinates read J. Furthermore, there are 3 categories of speaking. The first category of speaking is in the proximal zone, which is near the speaker at the time of speaking. For example, here and this. The second category is the distal category, which means that it is distant from the speaker at the time of speaking. For example, there and that. The third category of speaking is the medial time of speaking, which exists in languages like Spanish and Japanese. The deictic circle can be helpful when it is used for teaching EFL students in the way that they have a picture in front of them instead of a long explanatory grammar text. Furthermore, it can be used to show students that converting a direct speech into an indirect speech involves the subjective interpretation by the reporter, where it is his choice to choose the meaning of the indirect speech. It is said that whenever words such as said or told is used in a sentence, the reporter is more likely to make up their own perception on their physical or psychological reality. Example: he said he had 3 children. He said he has 3 children.
So congratulations as you made it till the end of the slide. And again, I am Mary Rose together with my partner, John Edward. Thank you for listening.